Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this session. In yesterday's class, we looked into some of the form-related HTML5 elements, advanced controls, where we looked into options to be selected. There we looked into the options. Options will provide uh, the list of values that you want to display in the select list, and you can also use the opt group. And using what is the advantage of opt group is within those listing, within those options, you can create a grouping which will be helpful for the users to select required value and find that required value very easily. In this example, we have list of cities, so you can just list all the cities in the world, but it would be more helpful if we list if we can group them according to the continent or according to the country. Here we are grouping. Okay, opt group, it will group according to this label, that is North America. Then you will have all the cities that are in North America. Then you will list all the countries here, sorry, all the cities inside the this particular continent. So the looks wise, you can see here they are the opt group will be clearly visible, and under the opt group, user can easily select whichever city they want. Then which value to send? If we do not provide the value attribute, there is something called as a value attribute. If you don't provide that value attribute, then whatever the content is provided, that will be sent. Or you can, if you want to send some other value, you can do so. So here, using value is equal to 1, that is the attribute you are setting. When user select first, this value will be sent to the server. Radio buttons, when you are making one choice out of multiple choice, you will use the radio button. Means it is only one choice, mutually exclusive choice you are making, then you will use the radio button. How to use the radio button? How to use the radio button? Input type is equal to radio, and if suppose you have 4 or 5 radio buttons, all of those input will be type of radio, and their name will be exactly the same. So here we have 3 radio buttons. You can see there are 3 input, all are radio, their names are exactly the same. Then this will be grouped. Okay, will be grouped as a one control, where whatever the value is selected, user can select only one among these 3, and that value will be sent to the server. Suppose user in this particular case, he selects South America. This is the South America. Value 2 will be set, and we have a property called the checked. This checked property will make whenever the page is loaded, by default this will come as selected. By default it will come, this value is selected. Check boxes, and if you don't provide the value, it will be sent. If it is selected, it will be sent as on. Checkboxes are used for getting yes or no, or no or off respect to. Then you can use the checkboxes. Similar to radio button, uh, if you want to use n number of checkboxes, you can use. And if you want to group them as a one entity, then you have to have the same name for them. Here example, this is one example. We have only one checkbox. Here only one is there. If user clicks on that, this value will be sent as on. So we don't have any other value passed. If this checkbox is selected, the name is accept would be sent as on. And here you can see there are 3 checkboxes. So 3 input we have here. Type, all of them are checkbox. Name, same name for all of them. but the value that will be sent will be different based on what user select. And in case of a checkboxes, we can have we can select multiple checkboxes and all those values will be sent. Here you can see if this is checked from this control, so accept is equal to on, and this one is checked. So name is the visit is equal to Canada, that is the value, and visit is equal to Germany. This is the query string that will be sent to the server. And how it is sent, it depends on what method you are using. If you are using a get method, it is sent as a URL. If you are using a post method, it will be sent as the HTTP request header, part of the HTTP request header. Next is the button controls. So button controls, why do we need buttons? Buttons are the easy way of navigating, okay, or executing certain actions. That is the use. So buttons will be associated with the JavaScript, right? Button in themselves will not make like any activities. So submit, except the submit doesn't have any kind of a by default submit means it will submit the form to the server. That is the job of the submit. Other buttons, suppose you have other button JavaScript either on the client side or the server side to execute that particular action. The first one is the input type is equal to submit. So whenever you have the type is equal to submit, that form wherever this button is there, it will take all the data and it will submit to the server. Creates a button that submits form data to the server. Next, input type is equal to reset. What the reset button will do is whatever the data that has been entered in the form, it will reset it. Means it will make it clear. If there are certain default values are set, it will set to the default value. So how to create this particular button? You will say input type is equal to reset. Creates a button that clears any of the users already entered form data. If user has entered certain form data, it will clear it off. Next one is input type is equal to button. So this will create a button. Okay. Here by default it has the functionality. When you create submit button, what it will do, whatever is the form data, that will be submitted to the server. If you have a reset, here type as reset, whatever the form data is there, whatever the user has entered, that data will be cleared. If you use input type is equal to button, it will create a button on the form. Inbuilt functionality will not be there. Okay, you have to provide some functionality. That functionality can be provided using the JavaScript. Create a custom button. This button may require JavaScript for it to actually perform any action. Otherwise, it is the click. On the click, you have to do certain activity using JavaScript. Then input type is equal to image. So it will creates a custom submit button that uses an image for its display. So that particular image will be used as the display. Then button creates a custom button. The button element differs from the input type button in that you can completely customize what appears in the button using it. You can, for instance, include both image and text or skip server side processing entirely by using the hyperlinks. You can turn the button into a submit button using the type is equal to submit. So uh, there are two ways of having a button. One is using the button tag, okay, and second one is the using the input type is equal to button. So some of the functionality that are provided using a type is equal to button against the button is little bit different. Other than operationally, it will exactly work similar. Whatever the underneath functionality you want to carry out, you can carry out with the both kinds of a button. So this is example: input when you say type is equal to submit, a button will be created like this. And when you say input type is equal to reset, then reset button will be created like this. Let me show you the code. Okay, we have a reset button. I will open in the browser. This is the first one, button reset. So you can see both submit and reset are there. I will show you the code for that. This is the same source code that we are seen from the earlier. This form is exactly the same. I have retained all of those. Okay, title, password, text area, all those things are there. You can see title, enter password, text area, search, all these things are there. We'll just focus on the submit and the reset. So here, this particular select is this one country. This is the yeah, select control. And after this, I have input type is equal to submit. So it will automatically create a button like this. So just for just I will remove that so that remove and I will load that is button is removed. So this is the one which is creating. So the input type is equal to submit. It will create the submit button. I will put it back, reload. What it will do is, as I told you, whatever the information okay, this will be submitted. So you can see here the query string is here, title is equal to Central Park, and all the values will be here, and it is submitted to process.php. That is the job of this particular submit button. And what the reset will do, suppose you have entered all the form data and some for some reason you don't want all those entries, you want to reset, so it is going to reset everything. Then you will say reset, all the values are reset, so the form will be afresh. That is the reset button. And you can see the reset button is created using input type is equal to reset. Then to create a simple button, okay, this is a regular button. You will say input type is equal to button, and value, whatever the value you will provide here, that will be displayed on that particular button. So you can see value is click me. You can see the click me here. And also we have input type image. So this is the image, and the source for this image is provided using the attribute src. Src is equal to inside double quotes you have given the png file. Okay, whatever the jpg or png, whichever you want to display, you will provide that image file. And this is with the assumption that wherever the html is present, the image file is also present at the same location. We'll show you the source code for that. Button, this is the one. Okay, I will load the page. This is the page. Now you can see click me, and that is done using here. So input type is equal to button, value is click me. Suppose if you want to change that, click me now, just save it and reload the page. You can see by default, whatever is the size of the content, so it will take that. So if you are giving more text, then automatically it will, the size of that button will increase. Then we have the image. For image also there is a code. This is the button image. First I will load the page in the browser. Now you can see here. So the minute I take it over to the image, I get a click. And in the previous, okay, let me show you. In the previous button, see, you can see here, I'm clicking on the this button. Okay, this is created using type is equal to input type is equal to button. I am clicking on that. No action is there because you have to associate it with a certain action. Then only it will do something. So that action can be provided using a JavaScript. Right now, I do not have anything other than the this particular button. So even if you click on that, no action will take place. Image, this is the source code for that. After the submit button, you can see here input type is equal to image, and src source is what, dot dot forward slash image forward slash logo under central hyphen park dot jpg. So this is the location of my file. So wherever your file is there, you have studied about the relative paths and absolute paths, how to give the location of your file, and it will use this particular image as a button image. So this is, and it provides a click, so we can click on that. Okay, so it is working like a submit. Next is we can have a button like this where we have a image. Okay, you can see the button type is equal to submit. This is a submit button, and I am including a image, image src. This is the location of the description. Right now it is empty, and I have a content as edit. So between this opening button and the closing button, I can have any type of a content. So this button is exactly similar to this submit button. So only difference is here, this submit button is created using the input. Okay, type as submit, and automatically whatever the content and whatever is shown here, it is by default. But in, if you use the button tag, html tag, so this is the button tag, then you can do some of the changes. For example, here we have included a image, and we have included some content other than saying submit. I have included here as edit. So here in case of a button, you will say type is equal to submit, and then image, then content, and closing button tag. So it will create a button like this. And this is where we are using a link inside a button. So I have the a button opening tag, button closing tag. Inside I have a link, right? This is a link. I have anchor tag that is referring to href is equal to email.html. It is referring there. And also there is a image. Okay, image inside the anchor tag, and that is the image source is this one, and alternate path, and then I have a email. Now what it says is like I have a button, there is a button event I can include. Also there is a link. So if I click on this particular link, so which is shown with this particular image, then it will be taken to this email.html. We'll see the source code for that. So this is a button element. I have both the examples included in one. So this is the first button and I have a link, hyperlink here, and hyperlink is pointing to email.html, and I have a image. This is the location of the image, and alternate value is given, and the content is email. Then I have second, which is a submit button. Submit button type is equal to submit, and this is the image that is used. Basically both images are same, and then I have the content as email. We will see how this particular page looks on the browser. Okay, so you can see here the source code. I also have this button, so let me remove that button. So now you can see the first one is I have a button and inside I have a link. So you can see there is a, if I click on this, okay, you have to see the footer. Okay, you have to see here. Okay, it will show you the link. If I take there, you can see it is showing the location of the email.html. It is in table forms /email.html. And if also I can have a, a click event on this particular thing, and this is a pure button. So this is a pure button which will work. Here I can, if I click on this link, it will try to get into that email.html. Right now I don't have that file, but it has taken you to email.html, right? And this is the click event. So you can see the difference here. This, when I click on this link, it will take me to the link. You can see email.html. And when I click on the button, so this is the button, then it will do the, it is trying to submit with whatever the values we have. So that is how we can have those two buttons. Next, specialized controls. Input type is equal to hidden. So hidden is like, suppose if you want to have the some hidden value that you want to store, you can use the hidden type. And if you want to upload a file or any image, you can use input type is equal to file. So you can see upload a travel photo, upload the travel photo. So you can once you upload the photo, it will show like this. Now how to get this one is this source code. Form method is post, then encryption type we have multi-part /form hyphen data. Don't worry about this. So whatever the attributes are there, most important attribute is method and the action. Then we have some contents. Then I have a label opening tag, label closing tag, and I have upload a travel photo that is displayed here. This is how it looks like on the browser. Upload a travel photo, followed by I have a input type is equal to file. So you will get a control like this displayed on your browser, and name of this control is photo. Whatever data it gets using this control will be stored with the photo name. Now when you click on this, you will get a window where it will help you to choose the file. Once you choose the file, it will look like this. So then along with the submit button, this data will be sent to the server. Let me see the code. Okay, I have the code. Input file. So you can see after the submit, I have type is equal to file and name is equal to photo. you can see here, this is coming from, this is the submit button, this is the submit button. Input type is equal to submit. After that, input type is equal to file, name is photo. This is the one. So it will display like this. It will say choose a file. Then once you click on that, basically it will show a open up a window where we can browse the particular file and we can select it. Let me say I select this file, and when I say okay, this is how it will show. Whenever I am submitting, this particular data will be sent with this particular name photo, and in this particular form, this is selected as a post. It will be sent as a past, part of your header file. Next is number and range. For related to number and the ranges, there are certain HTML controls are there that can be used. Typically, input values are need to be validated. Although server side validation is required, optional client side pre-validation is a good practice. So whenever you are taking data from the user, always it is important to have the validations, right? Why you want to have the validation? So that whatever the data you are getting, that data is clean. So for that, you have to do the validation. And validation, one validation that is done is on the server side. Once you send the data, the process will run. You can do the validation. The better option is to do the validation on the client side. So whenever you are taking the data on the form, that is the client, you can do the validation using the JavaScript. And let us say some data entry you want is only numbers. You are very sure this particular entity can take only number, then you can do the validation to check whether it is only a number or not. And there can be a range also. Let us say for certain grade it is 1 to 5. Okay, the range has to be between 1 and 5 only. Okay, whatever the user input gives, it should be between 1 and 5 only. So you can do that kind of a validation on the client side only. Okay, the number and range controls added in HTML5 provide way to input numerical values that eliminate the need for the JavaScript numeric validation. So since HTML5 has added some of this number and the range controls, that is why we don't have to do the JavaScripting on the client side to check whether it is a number or not, whether it is in the date range, particular range or not. We can use these controls and automatically achieve what we can achieve using a JavaScript. The first one is this is a number. Okay, this is a number. You are giving a label, rate this photo, then break. So rate this photo, it will go to the next line, and I have input type is equal to number. Now it is saying what is the type, number, and I can specify what is the minimum number and what is the maximum number. The minimum number is 1 and the maximum number is 5, and name of this particular control is rate. Now what will happen is this HTML5 automatically it will do the validation. It will not take values which are less than 1 or which is greater than 5. It will take a number between 1 and 5. So this will avoid me to have a one JavaScript which will do the validation. Then next one is this is the range. Okay, this says grumpy, then ecstatic, and in between I have a range control. How to get this range control? You input type is equal to range, minimum 0 and maximum 10. And how this when you are selecting this, the step that is used is 1, and name is equal to happiness. So you want to have control like this, and based on users click, so this is a range. There is no definite number here. Okay, user just feels that whatever the value he wants to give towards grumpy, then he will choose towards grumpy. automatically related value will be sent as happiness. So controls as they appear in the browser that does not support these input types. Suppose any browser that doesn't support these two, the input will look like this. Okay, so sorry, the display will look like this on the browser which do not support this HTML5 number and range. We'll see the code example, number and range. Okay, so this is the number and range. You can see I have the form, get action is there, field set is there, legend, that is the details. After that, I have a label, opening and the closing, rate this photo, and then I have the input type as a number, minimum 1 and maximum is 5. The name is rate. And similarly, I have a range here. Grumpy and X static, and the given, then name H rate, then I have a submit button. This is the submit button. Now I will save this, and now if I give any value between 1 and 5, it will take. Let us try to give 6. You can see value must be less than or equal to 5. Okay. If I try to give 0, value must be greater than or equal to 1. So it is doing the, so I did not put any JavaScript for the validation, but automatically by using this control I can directly use the HTML5 automatic validation. So I will give it as 4. Then here whatever the value you select, you cannot go out of the range. So this represents 0 and this represents the minimum value. The minimum value is 1. Okay, so if I submit like this, you can see rate is equal to 4, H rate is equal to 1. And let me change this. You can use this control to increase or decrease, and I will say this. Now 5 and 10. You can say rate is equal to 5 and H rate is equal to 10. That is the number and range. Next we can select the color. For selecting the color, this is the label background color colon, then input type color. Then we can choose color based on different, either the actual color or we can use the hexadecimal number, whichever we want we can use. And if browser doesn't support this control, then it will show like this, it will display like this. I have an example for the color. Okay, so I have background color, this is the control, source code, only 2 lines of code. Okay, label background color. Okay, background color, then I have used a break so that it comes on the next line. Type color, name, back. So if I click on this, now it is showing like this. Or I can use RGB values. So RGB values, you know, the maximum value you can give is 255, that is red, and this is the minimum value 000, that is black. And this, if I give maximum value green, and if I give this as the maximum value, it will be blue. Okay, so you can give any combination of the colors. Okay, so or you can select from here. The other option here is you can use HSL or you can use hexadecimal number. If you know the hexadecimal number, then you can use this. accordingly it will choose the a color. So it will accordingly you can select the value. Often need text in we have to do certain kind of a validation. From user's perspective, entering dates can be tricky as well. So there is a different formats and a different way. In some country it is followed MMDDYY, and in some countries DDMMYY. So some dates could be very confusing. If I say 04 /03, so in some countries 04 is considered as April. In some countries it is considered as a fourth in March. So that causes a lot of confusion here. So you probably have wondered at some point in time when entering a date into a web form, what format to enter it in, whether the day comes before the month, whether the month should be entered as an abbreviation or a number, and so on. There will be a lot of confusion. The best way is to have a calendar displayed so that user can select it. So we have HTML5 date and time controls, which makes entering the date very easy. First one is the date control. So label date, then input type is equal to date. When you say type is equal to date, it will show up the a calendar where users can click it, and the date will be selected. And for selecting the time, input type is equal to time. And next one is date time. So I want a date as well as time. You can use the control date time. And if you want the local time, then you can use the input type is equal to date time hyphen local. Those are the date. So just if you want to get the month, okay, just you are interested in the month, then you will say type is equal to month. It will get you the month. If you are just interested in the week, so week will be numbered from 1 to 52. It will get you that number. So 1 to 52 number, you have to specify type is equal to week. Let us see the code. Okay, so I have a date time HTML. Okay, so you can let me load the page, and then we'll look into the code. So we have all the flavors here. First we'll look the source code, and then we'll click the certain button. First we have form, field set, legend. Okay, all those things are there. Then I have date. So this is the first one, date. Then type date. This is the first one. Second one is the time. Time type is equal to time. This is the time. The third one is date time. Date time. I have used the type as date time as a single word. Then I have date time local, date time hyphen local. Then at the end I have the submit button. So here we can see this is the first one is the date. It will display a calendar. So you can navigate through this calendar if you want to change the month, year, all those things you can do. And finally, on a particular number you will click, automatically it will put it in the order. So this will go as the July 13th July 2021. If you have any doubt, you click on this. You can see July 2021, 13th July. Irrespective of how it is displayed, you can always come and see what date it is. And if you want to select the time, this is a convenient way to select the time and AM PM, whichever you want, you can select. Uh, okay, 10:15. Then date and time. So if it is a date and time, you will provide both date as well as time. So this date time local, this will give this option. You can select any date, you can specify the value for the time. So this is how. So depending upon the requirement, you can use one of the controls that are available for the date. And for month and week, okay, I have one more HTML where you want to just select the month. This is week month. This is the source code. Label month. Then I have type is equal to month, and next one is week. Type is equal to week. So where we can select the just the month and just the week number. If I'm selecting here, you can notice I have a year, and we can select through different year, and whichever year you select, let us say October, that particular value will be selected, October 2021, and here it will go as a number. So you can select week 18, right, or any week. So you will see like up to 52. Okay, again it will start from the 1, it goes to the next. For 1 year I will have number 1 to 52. In 2021, this is the last week of 2021. So that is how it will select that particular week. And if you just for the sake will submit, you can see v month is equal to 2021 hyphen 10. We selected October 2021, that is how we are getting the data. Then week 2021 hyphen w52. On the server side, we should know how to handle this data. Okay, that is, once we get this data like this, we can easily extract the information from here. We know which year and which week, and depending upon our processing, we can do the processing according to which week number it is. So these are the HTML controls we saw: date, time, date time local, month, week. So date creates a general date input control. The format for the date is YYY-MM-DD. And time, it creates a time input control. And this is how the time: HH, minutes, and SS, seconds. Hour, minute, and second. For hours, minutes, and seconds. Date time control, where user can enter date as well as the time. Date time hyphen local creates a control which user can enter date and time without specifying the time zone. You need not specify the time zone. Month creates a control, and the format is YYY and MM. We just saw the example for that. And week, it creates a control for the specifying a week. We saw this particular example, 2021. We selected the last week of 2021. It came as 2021, that is year hyphen w52. So there are other controls. Suppose if you want to show the progress, you are doing any uploading of a large file or anything where you want to show the progress, or you are doing some kind of a processing, you can use the progress and meter elements can be used for provide the feedback to the users. Okay, it requires the JavaScript function to dynamically show the progress. The output element can be used to hold the output from a calculation. So output element can be used to hold a temporary calculation, and the keygen element can be used to hold a private key for a public key encryption. Next is a table and web accessibility. Table and web accessibility is very important. The reason for that is whenever we are accessing any kind of a page which are highly accessible, which will help us in disabled people. It gives alternate ways to provide the information. So accessibility is very important, and there are guidelines according to which a web application can be created which will make the web applications highly accessible. Not all web users are able to view the content on the pages in the same manner because of the some of the disability. All will not be able to see it in the same way. The term web accessibility refers to the assistive technologies, various features of HTML that work with those technologies, and different coding and design practices that can make the site more usable for people with visual, mobility, auditory, and cognitive disabilities. So these are the ways by which we can make these applications more accessible for the people who has disabilities. In order to improve the accessibility of the website, W3C has come up with a guidelines. Web accessibility initiative was taken, and there are certain guidelines proposed. These are the some of the guidelines. Provide text alternatives. If you remember, we provide the text alternatives. Suppose image is not there, for any non text content, you can provide some alternative so that it will be easily understandable. Provide text alternatives for any non-text content so that it can be changed into other forms people need, such as large print, braille, speech, symbols. These are the other way, or using a simpler language. Create content that can be presented in different ways, simpler layouts, without losing the information or structure. So we have to use the layouts in such a way that it will make it as a very simple presentation of the information without losing the actual content. Make all functionality available from keyboard. So this is if certain functionality needs a certain equipment, we should be avoiding that. We should try to give all the functionality using the keyboard, because that is the basic thing that will be available. So it should be provided with a keyboard. Provide ways to help users navigate, find content, and determine where they are. So we should always think in from the perspective how easily we can give the data to the user, how user can easily find out whatever the required data they are looking for. For example, I talked about the opt group. Whenever user are making a selection, if you provide the opt group, users can easily understand which opt group to go, and quickly he can navigate to required value and he will select that particular value. So accessible tables, we talked about this when we talked about the HTML tables, how we can make the tables more accessible. Provide a very good description in the caption what that table is meant for. Connect the cells with the textual description on the header. So we have to connect the each cell with whatever is the textual description. For example, you can here see this is the scope. You are telling it's a column, so we will know that this is the column. For all these header, we have provided as the a column. Then we just now we saw the forms, making forms more accessible. Field set, so it will create a group of all the fields using legends, using labels. Okay, and when we use the labels, label element should be associated with a single input element. Now if we just saw the forms, there is no link between the actually label and the control that we are putting. We can provide that link so that it will become those two are connected and it will be easily accessible. For example, label form equal to, you will say f hyphen title. So you are telling this label is associated with this input type of text, and you have given the id as f title. Similarly, for this country label is for f hyphen country id. So whatever you specify for, you will we can look out for that id, so it is associated with this select option. Microformats. Microformat is a small pattern of HTML markup and attributes to represent common blocks of information such as people, events, news, stories, so that information can be extracted and indexed by software agents. So microformats are the one where you have the common block of information. Suppose student information, we can make it as a common block of information, student name, US, and things like that. It is not only student information, it can be for any entity. Let us say book. Okay, when you say a book information, I can make a standard micro format that where I can have all this information. So if we have this information in the micro format, then we can easily understand, easily we can read out from all the internet, we get these micro formats, we can combine the data, and we can easily understand those micro formats because we already know what is the structure of that. That is how we can use those micro formats. This is the one example. This is the micro format information. This is the web server that is harvesting micro format information. Harvesting means it is getting all the micro format information. So some of the servers, they have H news. So H news is in the micro format format, so that this is a standard block of information that we can get. Similarly, H card information, it is the information about maybe the human resources. So it harvests all those, and then it will aggregate all that report, aggregating all the H card information from different websites. So from all the website, H card information is available as a micro format. I can get it from all because it is in the same micro format. I can easily aggregate and show it on my website. Similarly, this is news information. The news information is in a proper structure, okay, block of information as a H news micro format. I will get it, aggregate, website aggregating all the H news information from different websites. Okay, that completes the micro format.